Hi, termites. It's night 78. Pretty good, right? How we all doing out there? My Cardinals got COVID. My St. Louis Cardinals. You know what I call them now? Dirty birds. Yeah. As soon as they say like 4, you know it's like 12. So sad times on that. And then we screwed Detroit because we were supposed to go to Detroit to play the Tigers, and that all got wiped out, and they don't have a playmate. Like Lou's Orioles didn't have a playmate because the Marlins, you know, it's a rumor that the Cardinals went to a casino. That's weird because I have an uncle. He goes all the time, and he doesn't have COVID because he's careful. All right, what are we drinking? Well, this is a little Cabernet Sauvignon called Buckshack. And I brought it home because the bottle's so weird. I've never seen wine in a bottle like this. It's from California, as we would say in the Midwest. Where'd you get that wine, Kathleen, in California? Yes, I did. I got it in California. It was actually, I didn't even buy it. It was given to me backstage by the venue people, which was awfully nice. And the bottle is so cool. Lake County, California. I don't remember where I got this. 2018. Wines of Nice, California. Is that really a city? Vented and bottled by Shannon Ridge Family of Wines, Nice, California. Well, I guess there really is a place called Nice, California. Delicious. All right, let's get back, because Tanya's getting in some more trouble. This is her mother and father's going with her to Dallas for this little promo thing. On the afternoon of the 10th, we'd met with the airlines people at American headquarters in Dallas, and I brought in a demo of a jingle I'd written, hoped they'd use it for the promotional spots. Well, isn't that nice of her? See, I don't know that I would do something like that in advance, unless I was asked or paid. They were all very businesslike and polite, and when I left the meeting, I had high hopes that my jingle was going to be used. Then driving back from the meeting, I saw the car of my dreams in a Dallas car lot, a Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC. See, I wouldn't even know. Does that car still even exist? I've never driven a Mercedes. I have no idea. I have a 2007 Mercury Mariner. Let's hear it for Mercuries. Come on, people. There's a lot on the road. I noticed them. It's brown, very rare, a little chocolate color. It's great. And it's a hybrid because I'm too lazy to stop for gas. That thing fucking goes forever. Every time I look at it, 438 miles still empty. Excellent. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Anyway, we stopped and looked at it. Then we went to Tommy's Club. A group of T-Birds, that's her girlfriends, were there for my birthday. When I came out for the second performance, 500 fans stood and applauded and sang, "Happy birthday!" Then after the show, I was escorted outside where Mother and Dad were waiting with their present to me. The Mercedes I'd seen that afternoon. Daddy went and bought that. I grabbed the photographer who was taking pictures for the grand opening and asked him to get a shot of the T-Birds on the Mercedes. I made everybody pile onto the hood and the roof for the photo opportunity, and while we were up there, we heard a groan, followed by a thud as our combined weight dented the roof of the car. Well, that's not a very well-built car, because if they say they all weighed 100 pounds, because she's short, so that probably was, 500 pounds. Can you put that on your car roof? Let's go try that later. Since we have not a lot else to do, termites, let's test our roofs. The look on my dad's face should have told me that he had about had it with my kind of partying. I thought he'd already had it, and now you're out buying her cars on a whim that she saw in a parking lot, which is great, I guess, but I thought Daddy was already kind of pissed off. With all my bookings and plans for the ski event taking a lot of my time, I started to grow concerned about the next record. I talked to Dad, and we scheduled a week in December when I could come off the road. And I called Jerry Crutchfield, and I asked him if he thought Capitol would allow us to go somewhere else where we could have a solid recording time without any interruptions we had in Nashville. Jerry saw no reason why we couldn't. Listen, Crutch, how about we go someplace warm, someplace with a beach? Well, there's a Compass Point studio in NASA. He said, Nassau, I never know how to say that. They've got good equipment. Are the Bahamas warm enough for you? The Bahamas are perfect for me, I told him. Book it. By the way, as Americans, we can't go to the Bahamas right now. And I'd like to know if we can't, how the fuck am I supposed to go to Sandals? Okay, I'm never going to go to Sandals. But you got to admit the ad looks enticing. And then when you get there, the whole place is going to be like Excalibur in Las Vegas. It'll be like, that's how I picture it when you finally get there. Maybe not. It was that simple. We spent the first week of December in the Bahamas making Strong Enough to Bend, which contained 3 more hits. The title cut, Highway Robbery, nope, and Call on Me, nope, don't know either one. We took along a group of outstanding musicians, all these guys she mentioned. We'd work in the mornings, and then in the afternoon, we'd snorkel in the waters or lie on the beach. Jerry wasn't much into snorkeling. He covered in the studio. We were out playing. I played more than the rest, I might add, because the nightlife in the Bahamas is wild. So she found a new place to party. Good for you. Don't give up. Don't give in. Just keep moving. I hit a few of the clubs, and I know I wasn't always in great shape when I got to the studio the next day, but nobody can deny that Strong Enough to Bend turned out to be a great album. Well, exactly. If you can drink and party all night and sing, everybody just needs to shut up. When we finished work and got ready to go home, I called the guys together and presented them with Heuer diving watches. Crutch got a watch too, but it was a land watch. Land being in quotes. She has it in quotes. Land watch. Then she flew to Colorado to Steamboat Springs. I decided I wanted my hair to be shoulder length, so Shirley Porter flew out bringing hair extensions. All my writers were there at the Songwriters Show, and all the folks from Capitol Records came too. The 2 of the things that stand out in my mind had nothing to do with the actual events. One evening, Barb Shipley and all these people, and I went over to the cabin. I slipped into my sweats, removing my makeup, and I laid there on the couch while the 2 Pauls sang. Those are some of the most amazing people in the business. The most embarrassing in this business are the unexpected disasters that you have to laugh at yourself. One presentation, Barb Shipley, Shirley, and I were all standing together. Barb, who is tall, strong, blonde, ski-type, prone to bear-hugging people, grabbed me around the shoulders to congratulate me on the events. I felt a slight tug and saw Shirley Porter's hand shoot up my back. The cold wind of my back told me all I needed to know. Barb's hug had pulled the hair extension out of the back of my head. I don't have any extensions. I don't know. Was that hard to put it back in? My only disappointment was that some of the people I invited, like Kathy Mattea and Hank Jr., couldn't make it. But Lori Morgan and Keith Whitley did. I didn't see much of those 2 since they were taking a second honeymoon and stayed in their cabin most of the time. One night we had a sleigh ride. I'll never forget how happy Lori and Keith looked bundled up against the cold Colorado winter. Just a little over a year later, Keith was dead of alcohol poisoning. It was a heartbreaker, not only for his family and friends, but for all country music. When we wrapped up that evening, I flew back to Nashville. I felt like I owned the world. I partied a lot, so I was hungover and tired, but I couldn't imagine anything but the best for the first part of 1988. I'd finished a new album, my concerts were sold out, and I'd successfully pulled off a fantastic music event in Steamboat. I was on a roll. Termites, we're to chapter 43. Isn't that amazing? Page 216. I'm from the Betty Ford Center, and I'm here to help you. What? She was on a roll. A stranger spoke those words to me the morning of February 2nd, 1988. I just walked into the living room of the president of my record label. My dad told me the night before I was expected at a planning meeting for Jim Fogelsong's house the following morning at 9 a.m. I didn't even breathe at that time of day, but for some reason I hadn't questioned it. When I got up early that morning, dressed, styled my hair, and put on my makeup, at least I'd had an image going for me. I even arrived on time. Look at that. I looked around the room and saw a small group of my friends and family. Besides Jim, there were my parents, my brother, Jerry, Royce, Shirley, Barb, all these people. And Dean and the stranger who turned out to be the facilitator. Well, that's because they didn't have that show Intervention back then, or Tanya would have known. Holy shit, not a good scene. Hightail it out of there. Tell them you don't want to hear their letters. You got better shit to do. She didn't know. That's right. The expression, an intervention, something inside me closed down. Yeah, especially if you're on a roll. What do you mean I partied too much? I pulled off a festival? I got hit records? You know what these people are right now to her? Fun killers. Every single one of them sitting in that room. From the expressions on people's faces, I knew everybody was afraid I was going to say, screw you and take a hack. But I saw tears in my daddy's eyes and the hurt look on my mother's face, and I said, well, let's hear it. The facilitator went on to ask me to please understand that these people were there because they love me, and remember that as they each spoke. Yeah, those people, I find them not, yes, it's okay to be a facilitator, but some of them are kind of annoying the way they talk, at least on that show Intervention. I always liked that Candy lady. She got right to the point. That guy I thought was kind of, bleh. I thought, oh man, this is it. I'm busted. I'd heard about these things, and I knew that people were going to dredge up things I'd done when I was drunk or doing drugs. All I could think about was what my parents would think. I was aware they knew about some of the things I'd done, and they saw it right up close and personal with Glenn Campbell, but I didn't want them to know anything more than that. What I love is at this intervention, she's only worried about more stuff coming out. Then, one by one, people started telling me about my behavior and why I had to straighten it up. Jim Fogelsong didn't have any specific stories to tell, just observation and hearsay evidence. That is hearsay evidence. I call bullshit. I'm throwing the penalty flag. You got to come up with your own goddamn story if you're going to an intervention. You don't just go, I heard shit. No. I've been hearing around town you're an alcoholic, Tanya, he started off. And your appearance does make me wonder. Your face has been puffy and you look tired a lot of the time. I sat there listening and thinking, damn it, of course I'm tired. I'm working my butt off. Jerry Crutchfield talked about my talent and said I owed it to myself to respect the talent enough to take better care of myself. I couldn't believe Paul Overstreet and Dean Dillon were there. There's been the two biggest Nashville hellraisers when I was hanging out with them. Paul had quit drinking in 1985 and become a born-again Christian, though, so I guess he was there as an expert witness. Dean, too, since he'd been up to Biddy Ford and cleaned up. Well, you should have known that when you walked in and saw those two. Ruh-roh. Paul gave me a generic sermonette. A sermonette. Never heard of that. Learn something every day. A sermonette. I'm going to giggle that. Gave me a generic sermonette about turning my life over to God. That's probably far away. I don't see that happening. Like, first, how about let's not drink for 2 days. Let's put God as an end goal, but not an immediate goal, right? Maybe we're not going to do cocaine this week. We could do that. Don't make it that hard on her. Yeah. Then he gave the floor to Dean. I held my breath because I certainly didn't want him telling my folks we'd done drugs and had sex. I started out by telling me that at his time at the Betty Ford Center saved his life. It also saved my friend Stevie, not my friend, but my idol Stevie Nicks' life. She always says that. But then she always said, I don't know about that. He admitted we'd done a lot of drugs together. My dad had been sitting there with his head down and suddenly shot up, and his mouth dropped. He had no idea Dean was one of my drug pals. Dean went on to say how much he cared about me. Then he got real nervous and tried to lighten up the mood of the room by adding, Tanya, see my new hat? You can buy things when you get off drugs. Huh, she could buy stuff on drugs, Dean. So your little hoopty-high about look what you can do with your extra money, she doesn't need it. Not now. Not on this roll she's on. I doubt it was the facilitator's idea of a great anti-drug lesson, but Dean probably thought it was the perfect pitch at the intervention of a world-class shopper. My parents were the most devastated people in the room, but Royce and Shirley Porter were the most uncomfortable. Shirley never thought she or any of the T-Birds would be involved in something like this, right, because they're the party girls. I later learned that they hadn't wanted to come at all, but they'd been made to feel that if they didn't and I overdosed, it would practically be their fault. I found out there was a no-show. Paul Davis had gone underground the minute he returned from Steamboat Springs. When it came around to Shirley, she stammered and finally said, well, you know, Tanya, you got drunk that one time and made me cut your hair too short. I cut my hair. I might have had some wine. So? You made me cut your hair too short. I told you it wouldn't look good. If I hadn't been sick to my stomach, I'd have laughed at that. Me too, Tanya. Barb Shipley reminded me that when I was drunk, I'd mooned a cop. Come on, they got to do better than this. If you're going to send me to Betty Ford, you got to do better than that. That is not technically true. I had bent over and flipped up my skirt at that time at Fason's, the restaurant. But that's not a moon. A moon is when you pull your pants down and show your whole ass. But I wasn't in a position to point that out just then. Well, I certainly hope she did later, so we clear that up to everybody at the intervention, what mooning is or flashing. Very different. My brother Don said a lot of brotherly stuff about loving me and not wanting to lose me. LaCosta hadn't been able to come from Phoenix for the event, but she sent a letter that Mother read. Costa didn't have any stories. She just reminded me of all the good times we had growing up and how the Tuckers are strong people. Tucker tough, we know that. That's how you should have signed off on all your letters. TT, Tucker tough. And if we stood together, we could get through anything. She later told me that if she thought if she could remind me where I came from and how far down the road I'd made it, I'd straighten up. My parents said very little. My dad just kept tearing up. Mother would look at him and then look at me. Even though he'd set it up, Dad can't even discuss it now. All right, termites. It's going to be good because we're going to find out if she's going to go. And we're so close to finishing this book. I'm proud of us. Proud that we started this, 8.5 years ago? I still got to send these pictures out to the winners, but they're my bookmark till the book is done. No one will be receiving nothing till the book is done. All right, termites. Still hot out there. So get your summer sheet, get your little blanket in case you turn that AC down too far and you didn't mean to, and then in the middle of the night you're freezing and all you have is a sheet. That's no fun, right? Just know it. It's not COVID. Really should have a bottle of water here. You're good termites? You're worthy termites? Shirts still aren't here. What do you want? What can I do? They've been ordered, prepaid. And that's it for tonight. This was a good little chunk of this book. Very exciting. Intervention. And that's all I got. Little Buckshack Cabernet. And I will sign you off now. I'm going to put you all to bed. You comfortable? Right temperature? Perfect. Turn on a little show for yourself. Try Yellowstone. It's a little unbelievable. I think I already told you that, but I like it. All right. Night-night, termites.